Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into mergers and acquisitions for small and mid-sized businesses.
A really important topic.
Absolutely. And this one comes from a listener request, John from San Jose, California. He started his business about 4 years back and is thinking ahead.
Great question to be asking at that stage.
Yeah. This is Season 2, Episode 19, and it's part of our ongoing series, Small Business Blueprint, Bookkeeping, Licenses, Taxes, and more. And helping us navigate this is Katie St. Ors, a certified financial planner, tax strategist, and she actually produced the insights for this deep dive conversation. Okay, so M&A, mergers and acquisitions. We usually think, massive companies, huge deals.
Right, the billion-dollar headlines.
Exactly. But it's a tool for smaller businesses too, right?
Oh.
So what's the basic difference? Merger versus acquisition, especially for these, say, sub-$15 million deals.
That's a key distinction. And honestly, for businesses this size, what we call M&A is almost always an acquisition.
Okay, so not really mergers.
Very rarely. A true merger, like two similar-sized companies becoming one totally new thing, the legal side, the integration, and it's just disproportionately complex and expensive for smaller players.
Ah, gotcha.
So an acquisition is simpler. One company buys another. Usually the bought company's name and legal structure kind of stick around, at least for a while. That's the focus here.
Okay, that clarifies things. But why would a smaller business, like John's maybe, even go down this road? I mean, growing organically seems, simpler on the surface.
It might seem simpler, but M&A, or really acquisitions, offer a path to accelerated growth. That's the big draw.
Accelerated how?
Well, think about it. It's often much faster than trying to build something new from scratch, a new product, entering a new market.
Okay, yeah, speed.
Speed, potentially less risk because you're buying something already proven, and sometimes it's even cheaper in the long run.
Cheaper than developing internally.
Could be. Plus, you can gain market share instantly, find cost savings through scale, or even acquire specific tech or talent. People talk about acquire hiring, right?
Right, buying the team.
Exactly. You bypass years of development or recruitment.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Imagine John buying a competitor who's already nailed a service he wants to offer.
That makes a lot of sense strategically.
Yeah.
But you mentioned complexity earlier. If these huge multi-billion-dollar deals are complex, surely a smaller one under $15 million is just easier, less complicated.
You'd absolutely think so. It seems logical. But, and this is fascinating, there's what some call the paradox of complexity.
Paradox. Okay, tell me more.
Smaller deals under $15 million can actually be more complex in some ways.
Really?
Well, smaller businesses often don't have the formal structures, the documented processes, the dedicated M&A teams that big corporations do.
Okay, less infrastructure.
Right, which can lead to these, weird and wonderful, complicated situations during the deal, things you just wouldn't see in a bigger, more buttoned-up company.
Like what kind of weird situations?
Things like proving who owns intellectual property, or untangling finances if the owner mixed personal and business expenses. Suddenly, due diligence isn't just reviewing docs, it's like a painstaking forensic investigation.
Wow, forensic. That sounds intense and time-consuming.
It absolutely can be. And another point, sellers in smaller deals often have more skin in the game post-closing.
Meaning?
Things like earnouts, where part of the price depends on future performance, or escrows, where money's held back. These are often proportionally larger in smaller deals. More risk stays with the seller for longer.
Okay, so definitely not simpler. Given all that, how does someone like John even start? If they want to explore this, how do valuation and financing actually work for these smaller, complex deals?
Good question. It always starts with solid strategic planning. Why are you doing this?
Right, the why.
Then for valuation, especially if it's owner-operated like John's might be, seller's discretionary earnings, or SDE, is key.
SDE. Okay, what'd that capture?
It basically adjusts the profit to show what the business really earns before the owner's salary, benefits, and maybe some personal expenses run through the books. Gives a clearer picture for a buyer.
Makes sense. And funding it, besides cash.
For deals under $15 million, two main options pop up often.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
One is using SBA 7A loans.
The Small Business Administration loans?
Yeah, they're government-backed, offer good terms, often lower down payments for the buyer, but they can be a bit slower, more paperwork.
Okay. And the other option?
Seller financing. This is super common and really flexible.
The seller becomes the bank, basically.
Exactly. For a portion of the price, it can help bridge valuation gaps, if buyer and seller aren't quite seeing eye to eye on price.
And the seller stays invested.
Right. It gives the seller a continued interest in the business doing well after the sale. It aligns incentives, shares some risk.
Okay, deal done, financing sorted. Seems like the hard part's over. Or what's the crucial next step to make it actually work long term?
You've hit on perhaps the most critical part, especially for these smaller, often owner-centric businesses. It's the integration.
Integrating systems, operations.
Yes, but even more importantly, integrating the people, culture, talent retention.
Right, the human element.
Absolutely paramount. If you buy a small business and the key employees walk out the door because they don't like the new environment or the two cultures clash,
You've lost a huge chunk of the value.
instantly. You didn't just buy assets, you bought a living, breathing operation. Getting the cultural fit right, keeping the core team motivated, that's where the long-term success truly happens. Or fails.
So pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway for someone listening? Maybe like John, whether they're thinking of buying or maybe selling their own small business someday.
The bottom line is M&A in this sub $15 million space isn't M&A light. It demands really careful planning, very thorough execution, and crucially proactive integration afterwards.
Planning, execution, integration.
Yes. And given those complexities, we talked about the potential for weird situations. The importance of culture getting experienced advisors involved early isn't a luxury.
It's essential.
It's a vital investment. A good team, legal, financial, maybe operational experts helps you see around corners, manage those risks, and seriously boosts your chances of the deal actually adding value.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Okay, great. That's a wrap. I'm Katie St. Ors, and let me send out a huge thank you for listening. If you want more content on personal finance and small business, head over and find me on YouTube. You can also find me on Spotify, Amazon Music, TikTok, and Apple iTunes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next Deep Dive podcast.